Welcome back. Give people a chance to load up in here. I wanted to come on here and do this quick story. Welcome back to Naughty Love Movement. It's your host Naughty, bring you the latest and trending topics. And yo, shout out to Radar Online for my sources. I'm telling you, they trying to add the Red Run charge to the investigation. They didn't arrest Keefe D for no reason. They not implicating Foxy Brown for no reason. Gene Dill been speaking about it for years. It has been rumored for years that Diddy was the cause of the deletion of Tupac and Biggie Smalls. Okay, he is rumored to order the hit. Everything we talk about here is allegedly, but I think they getting close, Naughty Crew. I think they getting close. So let me give YouTube a chance to send out some notifications. We want to dive right into the article, child, and it is revealing. Mm-hmm. 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 It's going down. It's going down. Telling you, Greg Cadence. Let me see if I can find that clip. He spoke it. He said, you solve one, you solve them all. Unbelievable. Let me see what this is.
The Tupac murder is pretty clear. Like for any.
Okay. We're going to get Greg Cadence words. That's the lead detective that was trying to solve the case. But I'm going to just give people a chance to load up. And then we're going to get into the Radar Online article. Eating my lunch. Well, not even my lunch. This is a snack. It's hungry. Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, Greg Hayden, that's his name. He's been speaking about this for years. Please hit the like button. He's always said, you solve one, you'll solve the other. TPD always implicated Diddy. Now he's trying to backtrack, but it's too late now. They got secret files on TPD and this investigation and all the dirty cops that tried to cover this up. And this is why this has not been leaked, but I think we coming to a close. Let me see. This is Greg Cadence speaking, the lead detective.
The Tupac murder is pretty clear. Like for any rational thinking person, you can look at the facts and the evidence and the information. You're going to draw the same conclusion: is that Tupac put himself in a position where he shouldn't have been. He got himself involved in gang activity. That gang activity ultimately came back and bite him on the ass and got him killed. Orlando Anderson shot and killed Tupac Shakur on September 7th, 1996 in Las Vegas. Orlando Anderson is your murderer. Biggie was killed as a retaliation of that. And Biggie, Suge Knight, hired a guy named Poochie to go and kill Biggie in retaliation for the shooting of Tupac. And whether or not Poochie operated alone is the one unknown. We don't know that. There's a good chance that there is somebody else involved, but we've never positively identified that person. But Poochie, Suge Knight, and a female girlfriend of Suge Knight's all conspired to kill Biggie. The Tupac murder is pretty clear. Like, for any rational thinking.
Alright, let me see what this is.
Guess what? We have our She's Unstoppable Summit coming up this Wednesday, August 21st. Honey.
I'm going to disclose the facts as they are. I mean, whether they're dead or alive, I'm going to tell the same story because that's my job, is to get to the truth of the matter. My name is Greg Kading. I retired from the LAPD back in 2010 after spending 25 years in law enforcement. In the LAPD, I was assigned to our robbery homicide division, who handled most of the more higher profile type of homicides and robberies in Los Angeles. Before I got assigned to the Biggie Smalls investigation, I really knew very little about hip-hop. I didn't follow that genre of music. I was more of a classic rock and roll guy. Back in the 1990s, there was a lot of gangster rap, and much of the attention that got was because it was directed at the police. So there was already a kind of a hostility between these two subcultures of law enforcement and gangs. I got involved or assigned to Biggie Smalls' murder in 2006, so that was 9 years after he had been killed. It was considered a cold case because there was a lawsuit being waged against the city of Los Angeles and against the police department, and there was concern of a conspiracy involving LAPD officers. I had the good fortune of having a lot of experience with gangs, a lot of experience in narcotic investigations, and experience in homicides. And those are the three ingredients that we needed to bring together to understand what happened in these murders.
Okay? And shout out to Noisy for this clip. This is Greg Cady, the original lead detective that was assigned to the Notorious B.I.G. case. Okay? One thing I want to highlight that he said, LAPD's involvement in covering this up. He implemented that. He stressed that. Please hit the like. Please comment, share. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. All right, let's get into it.
Typically in a cold case, when you get a case like Biggie's that's 9 years after the fact, most all of the traditional methods of investigation have been exhausted. So we knew that we were going to have to get people into a position where they were compelled to talk. We knew that we were going to have to corner them and give them options of either going to prison or cooperating and telling us what they knew. The key figures in the murders of Biggie and Tupac are, of course, their labels, headed by Sean Combs, which is Bad Boy, Biggie's label, and Suge Knight, which is Death Row, Tupac's label. If you look at it like a pyramid, and you had Bad Boy Records with Sean Combs and Death Row Records with Suge Knight, and then beneath them was their rappers, Biggie and Tupac, and then beneath them was their entourages or gang associates, which were the Crips and the Bloods. The link between the two cases was this history of violence that had been taking place between members of Bad Boy Records and their Trip entourage, and then the members of Death Row Records and their Blood entourage.
So I take you back to the studio shooting of Tupac, the first one, okay? That's where the rivals started. Tupac really believed that Biggie set him up. That's where the East Coast, West Coast beef began. Well, it's believed that Diddy ordered that robbery. And also, Gene Dill spoke to him witnessing a conversation of Diddy ordering his hit. Gene Dill can very well be called as a witness.
So there had been conflicts brewing for almost 2 years with confrontations and a war of words and just disrespecting, and you go back and piece all of those little elements together, and you can see how it fueled the fire, which led up to the shootings of both Tupac and Biggie. Orlando Anderson is absolutely, positively the murderer of Tupac Shakur. Sean Combs was associated back in New York with a high-level drug dealer named Eric Martin. He was known as Zip. Well, Zip was getting his cocaine and his PCP from a West Coast gang member who was a Crip named Keefe D. Keefe D's nephew is Orlando Anderson. He's the individual that got into a fight with Tupac Shakur the night that Tupac was shot.
And mind you, the reason why Keefe D was arrested, because America's dumbest criminal, he's online doing interviews, implementing himself and putting himself at the scene of the crime. So if you're in the car and someone deletes someone, you could get the same charge. So whether his nephew was the shooter or not, Keefe D is just as culpable. He's just as guilty as his nephew, Orlando Anderson. But due to Orlando's lifestyle, he ultimately got deleted. I wonder why. Kind of suspicious, huh?
Orlando Anderson's the one that was in the backseat of the white Cadillac that pulled up alongside and shot Tupac. So you've got Combs, Martin, Keefe D, who was also in that white Cadillac and had secured the gun, gave it to his nephew, and his nephew shot and killed Tupac. In 1998, Orlando Anderson was trying to collect a drug debt. He was in Compton at a car wash, and he got into a confrontation where guns were pulled out, a shooting, an exchange of gunfire, and Orlando Anderson was killed at that time in 1998. There's a pretty good chance that Orlando Anderson would have been charged had more time been given to put the case together. But him being dead obviously makes him immune from prosecution. Well, for Sean Combs, I mean, what are his choices, really? I mean, is he going to come out and confess to his association with the killers of Tupac Shakur? I mean, that would be professional suicide. He doesn't have a lot of choice but to try to distance himself from the facts as they are. But you also have to understand Combs' position at the time. And it's very understandable, this sense of fear and dread and desperation that he was facing, because he knew that Suge Knight and Suge Knight's goon squad, his gang member associates, were after Combs. They held him responsible for the murder of one of Suge Knight's best friends in Atlanta, a guy named Jake Robles. So this conflict just continued to fuel itself. Combs saw that it wasn't going to be resolved peacefully, and he protected himself by affiliating with these Crip gang members. And they took upon themselves to then kill Tupac Shakur.
Okay, it's a commercial. Look, he is laying it all out. But, you know, RedRum does not have a statute of limitations.
Biggie was killed by an associate of Suge Knight's. He hired a guy named Poochie to track down Biggie at the Peterson Auto Museum in March of 1997 and wait for him outside. And he pulled alongside and shot into the side of the car and killed him.
And it is my belief Diddy knew that he had to say answer for Tupac. And he created circumstances so that Biggie can end up in LA at the height of this. This is like months after Tupac died. Like, why would you send your artist, your biggest artist at the time, out there? Why would you do that? Even Gene Dill spoke to this as well, because Gene Dill was there the night that Biggie was deleted, unfortunately. Biggie was supposed to go to London, but Diddy insisted on him flying out to LA to shoot the Hypnotized video. All the places to go shoot a video. I mean, you got Florida, you got the Bahamas. You know, the world was their oyster. They could have went anywhere they wanted. They could have shot that video in London. Why LA? Food for thought.
Killing Biggie. Poochie was a blood gang member from Compton, well known to Suge Knight, well known to those in Suge Knight's circle. Poochie was a known gunman, a known violent gang member, and he was the perfect guy to recruit for that job. We don't know that Poochie acted alone. We know Poochie was involved, but whether or not he had layoff guys or spotters, we don't know. In 2002, he's riding his motorcycle up Central Avenue. A gunman pulls up behind him and shoots him 10 times in the back and kills him. And so now Poochie's dead.
All right, so you got Poochie, Keefe D's nephew. How come all the shooters end up dead? To me, it creates a narrative that someone's trying to clean some things up because they don't want certain things to come out. That's just my opinion.
By the time we get the information about Poochie from the co-conspirator, he's no longer chargeable either, much like Orlando Anderson.
Orlando Anderson.
We have the confession of a co-conspirator that points directly at Poochie. We had a history of knowledge of Poochie's association with Suge Knight, but when this intermediary came to our attention as a girl that we would call her Teresa Swan, she was a baby mama to Suge Knight. She identified Poochie as the person that had been solicited to do the murder, provided other details that were only known to law enforcement, and said that Suge Knight had solicited it from jail. It seems that fate has caught up with Suge Knight. A couple years ago, he ran over a guy at a burger stand in Compton, killing him, a guy named Terry Carter, and Suge was charged with that murder and was sentenced to 28 years in prison. So we knew that with this information, the LAPD was going to be out from under this grand lawsuit that they had been faced with. Even though they would never agree that I should go public about a unsolved case technically, they also realized that we're educating the public and it's changing the public's perception of what happened in Biggie's murder, and that namely the LAPD had nothing to do with it. I'm going to disclose the facts as they are. I mean, whether they're dead or alive, I'm going to tell the same story because that's my job, is to get to the truth of the matter. I would never provide information or falsely accuse somebody unless I had the evidence to support and back up the claims that were being made. The fact that these people are dead and unprosecutable, that's difficult for the case. But for me to talk about it, I don't care if they're dead or alive or not, I'm going to say the same thing.
All right, that's the Detective Katie. He was the lead detective. Kading, excuse me. I'm saying Greg Kading. He was the lead detective. I also saw footage where he said, you solve one, you solve them all. But it just makes you wonder, like, how come all the people that were the Red Rummers, the Blickiers, the shooters, let's just say it, ended up dead, right? It just seems like a cover-up to me. So shout out to Radar Online for this next article. Here's some updated information, Knotty Crew. Please like, comment, and share. I believe that Homeland Security have expanded their investigation because they're working on adding red rum charges to all this other slew of charges, the trafficking and things like that. And we're talking trafficking on all levels. And I point you back to Jonathan Odie's interview where he implicated about DRUGS trafficking, SCX trafficking, and GUN trafficking, okay? All right, and this is before Cassie came out and things like that. These rumors about Biggie and Tupac have been out here for a long time, all right? Now, Keefe D made the unfortunate mistake of getting greedy, and I think his intention was to intimidate Diddy, to get Diddy or to squeeze him for money, right? Because he never got that $1 million payment. So he started doing all these public interviews. And I believe he didn't understand his Proctor agreement. He was under a Proctor agreement. I think he believed that his Proctor agreement gave him immunity. Well, he was wrong, and he was out here running his mouth, and he implicated himself as being in the car the night that Orlando Anderson blicky Tupac, deleted Tupac, right? America's Dumbest Criminal. So years later, they were now able to bring red rum charges against Keefe D, which I believe this was a strategy, Knotty Crew, because they really want the bigger fish. They really want the bigger fish. So shout out to Radar Online. Biggie Red Rum breakthrough. Tupac prosecutors trolling horde of secret files from Notorious B.I.G. Red Rum case. They implicated some of the 90s biggest stars, Naughty Crew. Just think about the 90s. Now, we've heard Foxy Brown name dropped. Okay, Mace was out there when it happened. People know more than they're putting on to. And I think this is the prosecutor's way of dangling the carrot. Like, yo, if you know something, you better come forward now if you want immunity, okay? Don't do like Keefe D. But even Eminem has implicated in his music that Diddy had Pac deleted. He's the one that ordered the hit on both of them. Gene Dill has spoken to the fact that he's heard conversations for Diddy saying they both gotta go. Okay? So accusations against some of the 1990s biggest music stars have come to light in secret evidence files from the Notorious B.I.G.'s Red Rum file, which have been handed over to prosecutors investigating the 1996 fatal shooting of Tupac Shakur. Retired Los Angeles Police Department detective have joined forces with Las Vegas investigators to comb through the decades-old files, which insiders said marked a turning point in nailing evidence to Tupac murder suspect Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. This man has this is evidence from Biggie's murder case was turned over to the Las Vegas prosecutor. All right, so past members of the LAPD force, as well as the now disbanded Compton Police Department, are working side by side with Las Vegas prosecutors to build a case against Keefe D. Legal insiders have called the joint effort the largest probe into the East Coast versus West Coast rap war. They trying to squeeze Keefe D now because Keefe D trying to backpedal, and it's too late. It's documented. It's out there. That's why you got to watch what you say online. At Keefe D's recent bail hearing, Clark County Chief Deputy District Attorney Mark DiGiacomo said his team was given thousands and thousands of pages from previous police investigations into the Biggie's 1997 Red Rum. So Giacomo revealed the files included testimony dating back to 1997, as well as information from a particular witness who implicated Keefe D before he gave police interviews about his role, the shot caller, in Tupac's Red Rum. Through the secret evidence files are believed to be choke full of accusations against some of the 90s biggest hit makers. Sources claim that information will never become public. So they got some secret files they dealing with. And I wonder who in law enforcement is going to be held accountable for helping them. The insider said without the help of the ex-Los Angeles cops, the case against Keefe would be less concrete. Their knowledge of evidence, witness statements, and Keefe's criminal past have prosecutors confident that Keefe has almost no defense. The DA team has sat on the biggest ever evidence file relating to Tupac's Red Rum, including paperwork which may never become public. They include accusations against some of... Okay, they did that. Keefe D. So Keefe D admitted to being a shot caller. So they continue. It has been an epic workload taken over 3 years to assemble and collaborated with retired LA officers and mining vaults for evidence, which is still coming to light almost 30 years on almost 30 years on from the incident. So broadly, they feel their case strongly outlines a precise trail of evidence confirming Keefe was a central figure in Tupac's death from witness statements and circumstantial evidence. Sources claim LAPD probe uncovered extensive insight into the working of the criminal gang, which Keefe D previous claimed to have given instructions to delete Tupac in 1997. Unfortunately, the discoveries made by California law enforcement never amounted to a full-scale multi-state criminal investigation until now. For the past 3 years, the Clark County District Attorney's Office has collaborated with former LAPD to bring to light as much hidden evidence and files as possible in hopes of closing Tupac's Red Rum case. A source said Los Angeles law enforcement teams had decades of intel following Keefe and his connected criminal association and an understanding of the key players in those circles. The crime was committed in Vegas, but on the ground in Compton. The aftermath played out in gang circles both for Keefe D's Crips and the rival, the Mob Piru, which is the Bloods. This Red Rum trial is the first time that all the key law enforcement officers across states have collaborated to deliver a raft of evidence from many years to build a full case. While Keefe D confessed to being the shot caller of Tupac's assassination, he pleaded not guilty to Red Rum charges. The insider said Keefe's defense really has their work cut out to convince a jury of their stance that there is no proof he was in Vegas on the night of Tupac's shooting, and he invented his confession for fame and fortune. That's his defense. He's trying to say that he was lying and it's for entertainment purposes, but he said it on several platforms. He has no defense. There is a confidence from prosecutors that they have the evidence that will nail him and probably others. Let me know what you think, Knotty Crew. This is my thing. If they can't trace the money, if they don't have no direct evidence connecting Diddy, it's going to be hard for them to get that charge. But I believe this they're using this as leverage because they know Diddy is under investigation with Homeland Security and they know they're trying to nail him. They've been trying to get the Diddler for years. But I wonder what's in those secret files. I wonder what's in them secret files. Who else will be implicated? And Suge Knight has publicly said that he knows all the circumstances, but he refuses to speak on it because he's committed to his gang. Keefe D went against his own gang's bylaws by running his mouth and snitching everywhere. And he screwed himself in the end. He screwed himself in the end. Well, I'm still interested to see which law enforcement helped cover this up. They had to have help. They didn't do it on their own. And let me tell you, the women around that time, the Mary J. Bliges, the Little Kims, the Foxy Browns. How long are you willing to hold the skeletons for these people that never really cared about you in the first place? It was all about gaining money off of you. How long? Let's leave it in the comments, Knotty Crew. I wanted to jump on here real quick to give you that story. Shout out to Tisa Tell. She actually gave me the lead to that. And then I went and found and did my own. I wanted to do my own commentary on it. But Greg Kading, he said years ago that you solve one, you solve the other. Now, I find it quite odd that both shooters in both incidents, whether it's Tupac or Biggie, they were both conveniently deleted. Sounds like more hits. It sounds like people covering their tracks. And it's just sad. It's sad that these two young men, talented young men, were taken far too soon. Far too soon. Can you imagine where Tupac and Biggie Smalls would be today and where the music industry would be? I think they would have elevated like Michael Jackson, like the princes of the world. But it just goes to show, like, be careful of the people you surround yourself with. See, it's crazy because Tupac felt backstabbed, and that's why he got pushed over to the West Coast. And I thought it was very sad that he got involved in gang activity once he got out there. But it was the inevitable when Suge Knight bailed him out. But it was several incidences where Tupac, I felt like, was set up. Like even that graping case, I think that was a whole setup. The one that he actually went to jail for, I think that was a whole setup. In my heart of hearts, I believe the diddler has been setting people up for years. It's just sad because these two young men lost their life way too soon, and it took 30 years for them to finally bring it to the surface. Let me know what your thoughts are, Naughty Crew. Do you think Homeland Security is working on adding red rum charges on top of all the trafficking charges? I believe it's a possibility, but I believe what's taking so long is they're trying to find evidence and witnesses to connect him to it. I mean, but he's done a good job so far of covering his tracks for years. He's done a very good job. Let me know what y'all think. Please like, comment, and share. I'll keep my eyes out on this story. There's been a bunch of frivolous lawsuits that come forward. Like a member of the cartel that who is currently incarcerated tried to bring a frivolous lawsuit against Deadly, and the judge threw it out. So I didn't even bother to report on it because he was basically saying that Diddy was stopping his illegal business dealings. Are you freaking kidding me? The nerve to you to even play with the court's time like that. The judge was like, dismiss without prejudice so that he could not bring it back. But people are grasping at straws. This was, to me, I expected that it will be a bunch of these frivolous lawsuits coming forward. Because it's a money grab. People are trying to grab money by any means necessary. Ooh. All right, guys. Love you all. Leave it in the comments. Like, comment, and share. Subscribe and follow me on all my different social media platforms. We on Naughty Love Movement everywhere. I hope you all have a good evening. I've been working hard, y'all. It's tired. I'm tired. I'm about to take a nap. Take care.